Muy buenos días. A nombre de Seven Panamá, queremos darles la bienvenida junto con sus patrocinadores tvn-2.com, Thrifty Car Rental, Hotel Intercontinental Miramar, Universidad Interamericana, La Estrella de Panamá, Rivertech S.A., Estéreo 89. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Tom Vassos, author of the book Destination Innovation, Tablet and Smartphone App Mobile Marketing Strategies, and also author of the book Strategic Internet Marketing, which has been translated into 6 languages, including Spanish and Chinese. Over the past 30 years, Mr. Tom Vassos has taught in various institutions around the world, including the MBA program at the Rodman School of Management in Toronto, as well as guest lectured at several universities, including Harvard. He has also held positions for the past 33 years in various marketing positions in IBM. He is currently teaching business model innovations and mobile social media classes at CITIM in Mexico, and in Shanghai Jiao Tong University in China. He has also been a co-host and a frequent guest on several national television programs covering technology and the economy. Mr. Vassos has been around the world. He's definitely a world traveler. He has conducted keynote speeches in over 42 countries, including India, Japan, Iceland, Australia, and many more. We are pleased to have in Panama with us Mr. Tom Vassos. Please, a warm welcome to Mr. Tom Vassos.
Thank you, Verushka. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Verushka, she makes that travel sound very glamorous, doesn't she? But when anyone that travels a lot knows that all you see is the inside of hotel rooms and conference centers and things like that. So all I can say is it's great to be here in Argentina today. I think we can learn a lot about mobile social business. Okay, I have to tell you a bit of a funny story because last night I was having a beer near the hotel. And I sat at the bar and there was 3 other guys sitting there. They were just having a beer and I sat down and we had a beer and they said, "Oh, what's your name?" I said, "Tom Vassos." He said, "Tom Vassos? The author Tom Vassos?" I said, "Yeah." I said, you've heard of my book?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Wow, that's great." I said, "What's your names?" And they said, "Poveda, Martinella, and Blas Perez." I said, "Oh, that's great. It was really nice to meet you." I don't know who they are. But, I wanted to learn a bit of Spanish when I came here. Are we on there? We're on there? Thank you. I wanted to learn a bit of Spanish, so my trainers have been training me, and I want to practice on you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Mano de piedra.
Mano de piedra.
De piedra. Soy super ratón. Super ratón. Okay. Marea roja. All right, that's all I can do for now.
Sorry.
That's not bad? All right, thank you. Okay, let's see what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk all about mobile social business, and hopefully I'm going to give you an entire day's worth of examples. So many things to think about. Some of the things are very tactical things that you should be able to use in Panama with your own strategy. And some of the things are just really exciting, futuristic examples I just wanted to show you and just get you to imagine where this might be going in the future. Before I do that, though, I want to share with you a poem I wrote. See, I'm very artistic. You probably didn't know that. And I don't think you're going to like the poem, but can I try it on you anyway? Okay. I don't want anyone to throw eggs at me or anything like that, but just listen and let's see how we do with it. Okay, and I call this poem Panama is on the Decline. Okay, you ready? So here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Don't throw anything at me. Okay. Panama is on the decline, and I refuse to believe that I can help Panama businesses become mobile social business innovators. I realize this may be a shock, but Panama businesses can become global success stories is a lie. The reality is Panama is uncompetitive, but I tell you this, Panama was a success story, but this will not be true in my era. Panama is not creative or resourceful. Experts tell me that 10 years from now, the global economy will be shattered. I do not concede that Panama will be any different. In the future, Panama's economic decline will be inevitable. No longer can it be said that you and I will find a way to succeed. It will be evident that our generation is unimaginative and uninspired. It is foolish to presume that there is hope. Isn't that wonderful? Does anyone agree with anything here? I wouldn't think so, because everyone here is a very positive person, right? But do you think there's anyone in Panama that might agree with something on this page? Okay. Because what I'd like to do today is to turn our thinking around in a different way with these exciting new mobile social business examples that can change the way we think about our future and how we are going to do in that future. And therefore, I'd like to read you my real poem, if you wouldn't mind, and I call this poem, There is Hope. So let me just read this poem to you if I could. There is hope. It is foolish to presume that our generation is unimaginative and uninspired. It will be evident that you and I will find a way to succeed. No longer can it be said that Panama's economic decline will be inevitable. In the future, Panama will be different. I do not concede that 10 years from now the global economy will be shattered. Experts tell me that Panama is not creative or resourceful, but this will not be true in my era that Panama was a success story. But I tell you this, Panama is uncompetitive is a lie. The reality is Panama businesses can become global success stories. I realize this may be a shock, but I can help Panama businesses become mobile social business innovators, and I refuse to believe that Panama is on the decline. How do you like my poem?
Beautiful.
And now with this poem, we can spend the day together and see what we can learn about our future. All right. So let me start with a couple of definitions, because we're going to talk a lot about these examples. So what are two of the biggest areas that's having a big impact on creating entirely new business models in Panama and other countries around the world? The first one is that all of us are aware of is social business. So social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, everything you're hearing about, participating in, etc. But there's another trend that I believe may be even more powerful, and that's the trend of mobile business. All of the things that we're doing and our customers are doing on smartphones. My fancy new Samsung Galaxy 3, if anyone wants to touch it later, I'll let you for $3 a touch, I guess. Oh, by the way, could everyone, even though this is an event about mobile business, could everyone turn your cell phones off? Unless you really need to. Okay, so mobile business is the other thing that is potentially even more powerful and game-changing. But I would suggest to you, when we combine these two worlds, we get something called mobile social business that combines the mobile world with social business and social media, and that I would give you the hypothesis is that can be a very powerful effect. Just a little bit about some of the trends. I won't spend too much time on this, but as you can see by this chart, many of the countries around the world are actually exceeding 100 mobile devices for every 100 people. And as you can see, Latin America is very quickly rising there as well. But to put that in more perspective, I thought I would give you another example of mentioning how long it took Apple to sell 1 million iPods. Does anybody know? Okay, to sell 1 million iPods, it took them almost 1 year, 360 days. That's pretty good. But they were even faster with the iPad and iPhone, because it only took them 74 days to sell 1 million iPhones and 28 days to sell 1 million iPads. But if that's not fast enough for you, with their latest models, it took them 2 days to sell 1 million iPad 2s and 1 day to sell 1 million iPhone 4Ss. So we're on this mobile acceleration path like nothing we've ever seen before, and it's very powerful. I thought I'd show you this one. This is God up in heaven with Steve Jobs. Meet Steve. He's going to upgrade your tablets, Moses. This is probably true, although I don't have any direct evidence. Okay, let me give you some other statistics of where this thing is going in the world. 5 billion mobile devices, almost one for every person on the planet of 7 billion people. 6 billion subscriptions that we just surpassed. Potentially 1 billion Facebook users by next year. 4 trillion SMS text messages sent. 15 billion apps downloaded just from Apple's iTunes store. And I thought I would share one more story with you. A year ago, in Canada, we're as crazy about our hockey like you are about your soccer down here in Panama. Well, after one of the teams, Vancouver Canucks, lost the Stanley Cup Finals, there was riots in the streets. People were breaking the windows in the stores and stealing things and all that. But as they were doing that, there was thousands of other people following them with their cameras, taking pictures and videos and things like that. In fact, in the couple of weeks after that, they sent 1 million photos and 1,000 hours of videos to the police to say that we got it on video, and now we're starting to get the people that were doing all the vandalizing. So it's changing our lives. And it's interesting because we see that we're over 5 billion people here. We just surpassed 7 billion people in the world. But sadly, there's 2 or 3 billion people in the world that don't even have access to clean water. And yet somehow they're finding the means to get a communications device which becomes their lifeline, not just for phoning a friend and chatting and saying hi, but conducting their business. In some countries like Africa, many people don't even have a bank account. The phone is their bank account. So they transfer money back and forth that way. They don't have an account. That is their financial lifelines as well. So it's transforming different countries around the world in different ways. What about in the future? We're expecting explosive mobile growth till 2015 with 20 times more mobile data, triple the number of SMS messages, 15 times more mobile apps and services, and probably 4 times as much commerce spending. In fact, by 2015, there's going to be 2.5 billion smartphones in the world, growing at 1 billion per year. So imagine that kind of growth rate. It's pretty dramatic. And if you don't believe my statistics, I have one more piece of evidence from a satellite image that was taken from 200 miles in the sky to see if we could find evidence of this happening, and we found it. And it's in this picture here, okay? You see? And we found out that less than 25% of the population actually even has a computer. But if you'll notice, 75% of the population has a phone. Look, they got iPhones, see? Okay, now do you believe me? Okay. So how are we going to spend today? I'm going to introduce you to something called a toolkit filled with a couple of hundred strategies and tactics and examples of how mobile devices are being used and how they're being combined with social media. And I hope many of those powerful examples will give you some ideas for your own company. But I'll tell you one thing, because everyone here is in a different industry, in a different company, many of those examples won't apply to you, but what I'd like you to do is find the 3 or the 5 that really apply to your organization in the business that you're in, so that it potentially can change the way that you do business. Okay. So let me introduce you to the toolkit. On the first level is something called pain point triggers, and that is simply looking at the business that we're in and finding out from our customers, what is it that they're having trouble with? What is it that they don't like about doing business with you? Do they have to wait in lineups when they come to your store or your bank branch or whatever it is? Let's determine what those clients' pain points are to see if there's some way we can use technologies to fix the pain points. Same thing with your business. What are your business's pain points? What are your business's objectives? Do you want to drive more traffic into your retail stores? If you work in a hospital, do you want to have better effect on managing your assets in the hospital? Whatever it is, there's some type of business objective that we can determine if these technologies can help you achieve them. The second level of the toolkit takes a totally different approach, and it says, let's look at all the technologies that are built into these new devices. Let's look at each one of them and then see if we can find a way to apply it in our business. And once again, there's 20 different technologies, but even if you could find one that you can apply to your business to address a pain point, then that's very powerful for your company. So I'm going to introduce you to the technologies so you can determine which ones make sense. Thirdly, the third row. Now we have to look at what kind of innovation do you want to apply to your business. Is it business model innovation? Is it innovation to your operations? Is it a higher level of customer service innovation? So once again, to decide how you will apply it in terms of what kind of innovation that it is. Okay? Sorry, and then the fourth level, this is where we'll spend most of the day today, and that is taking a very close look at ways that you can accelerate your mobile marketing impact by doing branding and pre-sales, closing the sale, doing commerce transactions, and providing customer support for your customers. Now, once again, every one of you is in a different company, in a different industry. If you're in the retail industry, all four of these stages might apply to your business. I met with someone earlier that's in the hospital side of things. Okay, well, they don't sell anything, so they're not going to be doing branding and commerce, probably not commerce transactions and things like that. But they might focus entirely on customer support. How can we set appointments for people coming into the hospital to see a specialist? Or how can we track our assets in the hospital to be more efficient? So once again, every person here, I think, should get something different out of this toolkit. Okay? Okay, so let's start. I want to introduce you to the first one and give you some examples of pain point triggers and how we can use this technology to address them. Okay? The first one is a simple customer pain point that both customers and retailers experience, and that is that when people come into a store, 80% of them have trouble finding something on the shelves. Another 20% in certain kinds of retailers never find it, and then they leave the store without buying it. Okay? So this is a very bad pain point, because if you're the retailer, you don't want them to leave the store without finding everything that they want to buy. So how can you address that? Well, Walgreens created a mobile phone app called Aisle 411. When you're at home, you can scan the items you want to buy. Maybe you already bought it a month ago, you know, the shampoo, whatever it is. And then it gives you aisle by aisle directions when you get to the store. Oh, go to aisle 3 is the shampoo. Oh, go to aisle 4 is the aspirin. Oh, go to aisle 6 is something else. So that we can actually use the technology to address the pain point. In fact, research shows that almost 80% of people would rather use something like this than find somebody in the store and say, where's the toilet paper? Can you tell me where the toilet paper is? You know, they don't want to do that. They'd rather use something like technology to help them do that, especially if it's embarrassing products. Okay, so that's one pain point and how we can address it. Here's another pain point, is that in the banking industry, the banks don't want you to come into the branches and use the ATMs, because the more people that come into a branch, the more it costs them. They have to hire more tellers, and there's longer lineups and all that kind of stuff. And you might not want to go into the bank branch or the ATM because it's a hassle and you got to go in and do stuff, etc. So now, of course, with mobile banking apps, you can do all your banking transactions. You can even send money to different people that you may want to send money to without having to go to an ATM machine. There's security issues for people that are older to go to a bank machine and take a lot of cash out, so there's security issues. And then finally, depositing checks. You got to go into the bank to deposit the checks. Well, guess what? USAA now has a system where you don't have to come into the branch. You take a picture of the check, you send it into them, and it's now deposited in your account. Save you a trip into the bank branch. So once again, one more way that technology addresses the pain point of reducing the number of branch visits. Here's another big pain point that many companies have. Are any of you in an industry where you have lineups for something? Raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, so not a big one here. So let me just give you a couple of examples of how this can be reduced. Subway restaurants, they have, do you have Subway here in Panama? Okay. So you go in, you line up with everybody there, and then you give your order, you tell them what bun you want, then they make it. Well, how long does that take? Maybe about 8 or 9 minutes, whatever it takes. Then you get to the cash register, it takes another 3 or 4 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. They introduced an SMS text ordering app where once you set up an account, you send them an SMS text message, and then they'll make the sandwich for you. So you get to the front of the lineup. And then when you get into the restaurant, you get your Subway sandwich and you pay your money, and then you can walk out. The other people are going to look at you, when you come into the lineup. But that's okay. But well, by the way, we have the technologies. Why should we even have to pay now? Because Subway now even has a payment system where you can pay for it. So now when you walk in, you don't even pay for it. You simply grab your sandwich, show them on your smartphone that you did pay for it, and then you leave. So eliminating the lineup for the sandwiches and the lineup for the payment. Here's another one. I really like this one. This is Nordic Choice Hotels. A lot of people going into a hotel, they really hate the hotel lineup. You get there, you're tired, you just got off a flight, it's 2 in the morning. You get there and there's, of course the plane all got it there at the same time, there's 8 other people in front of you in the line. And now you got to wait another 20 minutes before you can get to your room. Well, that's not good enough. So Nordic Choice introduced a front desk lineup bypass where you can check in using your smartphone. But in a minute I'm going to tell you how we have so many different technology capabilities built into these phones that I don't even have to check in because Nordic Choice knows when I have arrived to the hotel because my phone's with me, and they message me saying, hey, welcome to the hotel. Glad you could make it. Hope you had a nice flight. By the way, we've already checked you in. You're in room 420. Don't go to the front desk. Go straight to room 420. And then your smartphone can talk to the doorknob and let you into the room. And now I'm in my room without any lineup. Same thing leaving the next day. How many times the morning you're about to leave, the people that are cleaning the room, they always interrupt you when they wake you up in the morning. Well, they don't have to do that anymore because the phone knows I'm still in the room. And they know that I'm there. But the next day when I leave to go to the airport and my phone has left, a message can go to the cleaners saying, Tom Vassos has left the building. You can clean his room now. And rather than knocking on my door all morning. Okay? So once again, the way technologies are being used to address pain points. Okay, so that's drawer number 1. Let's go on to drawer number 2, which is mobile technology enablers. And these are really exciting because these mobile technology enablers is really what's changing the way, why we're doing business differently with smartphones. Built into smartphones is something that I call mobile instrumentation and sensor enablers that track things. It tracks movements and all kinds of things. And so it can record things like audio and video, and it's got biometrics built in and near-field communications. It can do facial recognition, and it's got a GPS position tracker and a compass that knows which way I'm positioning, etc. In fact, you're going to be really jealous on this. I was talking to the telecom people when I was upgrading my phone a couple of days ago, and she said, oh, the Samsung guy was here. He showed us all about the phone. I said, oh, cool. What feature do you like about it? And they said, oh, there's this feature on the phone that when someone sends you a text message, and you read the text message and you want to call them, you don't have to go to another application, dial the phone number, look at your contact list. You simply pick up the phone and go like this and it phones them. It's amazing, right? Because it can track the position of the movement. It has a retina sensor on it. One of the frustrating things I found with the previous phones is that they keep turning off to save battery. The Samsung 3, if I'm looking at my phone, it sees that my eyes are looking at it, it stays on. The battery doesn't go. But then when I put it down on my desk, it turns off the screen. Okay? Because once again, these different sensor inputs are changing the capabilities of what we can do. So how does that change things, and what are some of these devices? So I'll give you some examples. So we have things like RFID, okay? Radio frequency identification, that once again, a particular device that emits a signal that we can track the position of that little RFID chip. It's a little chip about the size of this, right? So how might we use it? So for example, we were talking earlier about hospitals. So the way hospitals are using these technologies is, for example, for asset management. What are the pain points in hospitals? In Vancouver, I was talking to some hospital people in Vancouver, and they said one of the problems we have is our hospital's not in a great part of town, and there's drug addicts nearby and stuff like that. What the drug addicts have been doing lately is they're coming into the hospital, they're stealing the wheelchairs, and they're going on the street and selling them for $10. Okay? That's a $400 wheelchair. Okay? Wow, that's a business pain point. I'm losing my assets. Okay? And so basically what we can do is we can put an RFID chip on every wheelchair, and then if it gets to the door, we can have an alarm go off to say, hey, someone's trying to take another one of our wheelchairs, let's get it back. I'll give you another pain point in hospitals is on different floors, depending on what that hospital does, they have something called infusion pumps. That's on the thing on a pole that drips something into your blood, water or whatever, or your medicine, things like that. And so, you might use it for a couple of hours or a day, and then when you're finished, the nurse, brings it to the next patient and they use it there. They don't have one for everybody. They maybe have 5 of them for the whole floor. Okay? But the problem is that a lot of times when nurses need one, they can't find one. Darn, I gotta find one, I can't. So they start looking around the rooms and who used it last and they ask the other nurse. That's a business pain point. So instead of doing that, now we put an RFID chip on every infusion pump, and when it's time to use it, they can simply look on the computer and says, there's where the 5 of them are, and then you know exactly where they are. Because you know what happened in the past when they didn't have a system like that? When the nurse finished using it for you, she would take it and hide it in your closet, because then she'd know where it is, and then she'd know where to get it next time she needs it, right? And so no one else could find it in that closet. But now that we have the position of the 5 of them, we don't have to hide them anymore. We can find the one that's not being used. So once again, addressing business needs through the technology. What about an accelerometer? Does anyone know what an accelerometer does? It measures the speed of this device, so it knows how fast it's moving. 0, 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, right? So why would we care to know something like that? Can anyone think of an application of how does that introduce a whole new business model or a new service a company could offer? So here's my suggestion for you on that one. Let's say you're a roadside assistance company, where when people get in an accident or they have a flat tire or whatever, they call you and you come out and you fix the tire. If they run out of gas, you give them some gas. If their car won't start, you help them, whatever. The problem is some people that use those roadside assistance services, they get in an accident, maybe their car went right off the road, flipped over, and they're unconscious. What does the roadside assistance company do in that instance? They don't do anything because they have no idea that you flipped over and you're on the side of the road. But what if we had an app that driver was using with an accelerometer that would know that that person was driving down the road at 40 miles an hour, and all of a sudden the phone stopped and now it's going 0 miles an hour. The phone can detect a car accident. And now, even though the driver is unconscious, it can call the roadside assistance company, it can notify the emergency personnel to send out an ambulance, it can notify 2 people next of kin to send them a text message saying that that phone has been in a car that had an accident. Whatever the process is around it. Which now introduces a whole new level of service if you're a roadside assistance company. Okay? And we'll get into some of these other ones in just a minute, but a couple that I wanted to point out. So, for example, the camera on the smartphone to take pictures of all of us here, that's just one use of the camera, but the fact that I have a camera on this, I can now, for example, point it at these things called QR codes that I'm sure many of you have started to see, and it recognizes that QR code, and it can do a whole bunch of things for us. And we'll get into a whole section on QR code examples in just a minute. What about the GPS position and the compass that says which direction I'm pointing in. When we combine those technologies, we can actually create augmented reality, because the phone knows that I'm in this hotel in Panama City and I'm facing west, and that building there is called the Panama One building. And it can now tell me a whole bunch of information about that building, like what commercial real estate is for rent in that building, or I can click on something else and watch a 3D virtual tour inside the building. Okay, so augmented reality can open up a bunch of other applications, and I'll show you many examples of that today. Okay, how about, can I use mobile sensor technologies to create entirely new service? I've given you some examples. What about one of the technologies, GPS, tracking the position of the phone anywhere in the world? So in Canada, we have a telecommunications company called TELUS. So they have tens of thousands of customers on their cell phone network. They introduced a whole new service called TELUS Kid Find, where you can track your children in case they get lost, or in case you call them, as in the case of my 15-year-old daughter, and she never picks up her phone. But now with the TELUS Kid Find application, I can look up on my smartphone, is she really at her girlfriend's house, or is she at her boyfriend's house? She doesn't know I have this app. Okay? So once again, the power of the technology to introduce a whole new service. And it's interesting because you think of this in different countries around the world. I teach a lot of courses in China, teaching an upcoming one in Shanghai. They have 900 million cell phone users in China. One country. China Unicom, one of those companies, I think has like 350 million users on their network. It's just mind-boggling. And now, once again, think of different services that you could offer around tracking the position of the phones and things like that. There's one of the telecommunications company is looking at how they can track the GPS position of all the phones in their network to measure traffic patterns, because they see these phones going down the highway, right? So they can see all of a sudden that the smartphones on that highway are moving very slowly. And now they can have a service that says, we're going to tell you which highways are backed up and which ones are clogged up because there was an accident. Okay, so tracking the position. Here's another interesting one. Progressive Insurance has introduced something called telematics-based pricing. And here's what the value proposition is from Progressive. We'd like to install a GPS device on your car, and we'd like to track your driving patterns. We want to see how fast you drive, whether or not you drive late at night on a Friday and Saturday night at 2 or 3 in the morning, because if you are, we know what you're doing, right? And that's a high risk to us. We want to know what neighborhoods you're traveling in. Are you traveling in the bad neighborhoods, the good neighborhoods? We want to know how many kilometers you're driving every year. You told us you only drive 5,000 kilometers a year, but if you're driving 35,000 kilometers a year, we got to charge more insurance for that. Would you let them do that to your car? Okay. However, what if I told you, if you let me do that to your car, I'll give you 20% off your insurance? Now would you do it? Oh, maybe I would give up a little of my privacy, because I am a good driver and I don't party on a Friday and Saturday night till 2 or 3 in the morning. So why should I pay high insurance rates when I'm a safe driver and I haven't had an accident in 25 years, touch wood? Okay? So I would be willing to give up that privacy to get a reduced insurance rate of 10 or 20%. It's not for everybody, but the policy's not for everybody. If only 10% of the population agreed, that's a big business. Okay? Just out of curiosity, raise your hand if you would take the insurance for 10 or 20% less. Anybody? Not very many hands in Panama. Okay, it's just you and I. Okay. Mare Aroha. All right. How can I use mobile technologies to better meet my business objectives? So let's look at some QR code examples. So technologies that let me scan a QR code that will do all kinds of things. Many companies are starting to use it. I understand it's not too popular in Panama City yet, but it may start to get more popular. But pretty much anything you can do on a smartphone, you can do using a QR code. So when you scan it, you could link to video clips, or you could send the person an instant virtual discount for $5 off if they come into your store. You can credit loyalty points to their cell phone. You can link to video instructions. You guys don't have a store here called IKEA, but it's a furniture store all over the world where you put your own furniture together. It's the most frustrating thing in the world because the instructions are terrible. They're written in Swedish, because that's where the company's from. You can never understand, and nothing, it doesn't fit together. But imagine if you scanned the QR code on the package and you got the video instructions saying, calm down, I'm going to step you through this. First thing you do is put the shelf down on the floor. Then you take these 2 screws and you do this with it. And it's a much better level of customer service. I could scan a QR code that would instantly let me talk to a call center rep that maybe would sell me something or provide some customer support. I could provide you data with information about that product, detailed product specifications. I could, in Japan, they have QR codes on the lettuce. You scan the QR code in the lettuce, guess what it tells you?
How old it is?
How old it is, what's the best by date, where that head of lettuce was made. You don't want to buy it if it was near, where the big nuclear accident was, right? Okay, so it can provide me information like that. If you scan this QR code, it could send a Facebook like to your social media so that your 500 friends, if you liked something in a store. So there's many different things we can do with QR codes. All right. Let me give you some examples of where we can put these things. As you can see here, we can put them on real estate signs. So as I'm driving down the road, I can scan the real estate sign. I don't have to go in the house. It shows me the price, how many bedrooms, a 3D virtual tour. It shows me 20 photos. And I don't have to go to the house. I go, I don't like that house. I'll keep driving. So once again, providing information. I can put it on magazine advertisements. So if I like this diamond ring, I can scan the QR code and it could tell me the quality and where it was made and different pieces of information. I could put it on posters. I could put them on t-shirts. I could put them on my storefront windows. I could put them on big billboards in Times Square that people can then scan to see things. Here's some other ideas. In Japan, McDonald's is putting them on their cheeseburger wrappers so you can see things like the ingredients. Or you could scan it to enter a contest. I mean, there's a number of different things that you could do. I'm not sure if I want to see the ingredients, but anyway. In a magazine ad, we can see an ad for a pizza, which would connect me to the closest pizza store, let me place my order, and then go pick up or have a delivery of the pizza. On the web, it can let me scan a QR code that would send directions, map directions to my phone so I could leave my house and go to the store. On products, I could put them on my business cards and show a video of myself saying, hey, it's me, and welcome, and hi. And if those weren't good enough, here's a better example. We can put them on urinals. Okay? So if you have any ideas there, we can do that. And I think we're gonna do away with fortune cookies. At the Chinese restaurant, when you finish your dinner, there's going to be a QR code there, and it's going to tell you your fortune. Okay? There's actually companies making temporary tattoos. So at a trade show, you can wear tattoos on your shoulder, and people can scan it to see your products and a video of something or whatever. On artwork, there's a building in Japan called I think it's called the N building, that has a QR code on the front of the building. Guess what you get if you scan the QR code? They tell you what stores are in the building, and they got a shoe store, and they got a clothing store, and they got this store. You can see the tweets from Twitter from inside the building. So it says, one of the stores in there just tweeted, 10% off sale shoes. If you come in right now, we're going to give you 10% off. Okay? You haven't even gotten into the building yet, and you're finding out all this information. And here's my favorite one, that once you die, you can put a QR code on your gravestone and have a video of yourself saying, I finally died. Thank you. You can say something else too if you want, like your life is okay or whatever, but it's up to you. Okay. Kellogg's has placed QR codes on Crunchy Nut cereal because, let's face it, we all waste 7 minutes of time in the morning when we're eating our cereal. What else are we going to do but scan the QR code or send a text message? Because now when they put it on these Crunchy Nut cereals, tens of thousands of people, while they were eating their cereal, were watching videos and sending text messages and interacting with the Kellogg brand. Okay, this isn't selling cereal, it's branding, it's interacting with the brand. And it's a very powerful way to do it. It was just the cost of printing a QR code and whatever the content that that QR code points to. Oh, here's a great one. I love this one. This is a Portuguese winery that is putting the QR codes right on their wine bottles. So you're in the wine store, you pick up the wine bottle, oh, it's got a QR code on there. You scan the QR code, and in this case, they actually point you to an online community of wine lovers where you can see reviews of this wine. Okay? And they can say, wow, I bought this wine last week and we had dinner last night. It was a lovely bottle of wine and our friends loved it. We had a great time. Whatever. Do you think that's a risky strategy? What if you go to that site and someone says, oh yeah, I just tried that wine last night. It was awful. Okay, it's a little risky, but I would suggest to you that this winery is very confident that they have great wine. And hey, if I tell you, oh, my wine's the greatest, are you going to believe me or are you going to believe somebody else that doesn't work for the company that can influence your purchase? And so they've taken that risk of transparency to show what other people are saying about their wines. That's one example, though. You could do many other things with this QR code. You could scan the QR code. It could be a video of a wine critic saying, okay, I just tested this wine. It has a lovely bouquet, and it has a hint of rose berries or whatever they say, right? And by the way, I believe this is the best wine in the under $20 category. Do you think you'd buy that wine? Maybe. There could be another QR code on it when you get home and scan the QR code after you drank the bottle. You scan the QR code and it could point you to a website that says, oh, did you like that bottle of wine? We'd like to sell you a case. Do you want to buy 12 of them? Or how about this? Sign up for our wine club, 15% off. I'm going to ship 2 bottles every month to you. Right? So there's different techniques I could use in terms of what I do with these QR codes. And then we get into augmented reality, as I mentioned before, which is examples like, in this case, a real estate example of how we could apply augmented reality to generate more business. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Amanda Day, and today I want to introduce you to HomeSpotter, the new augmented reality platform for real estate brokers for mobile realty apps. With HomeSpotter, you can look through your iPhone or iPad and instantly discover which properties are for sale or recently sold in your area. As I move the iPad around, you can see where listed properties are at a glance. Use the radar view at the bottom of the screen to determine where properties are in relation to you. Tap on the screen to view more information on properties, like distance from you to the property, price, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and square feet.
As you can see in that example, they're using the augmented reality app to help real estate brokers see where properties are for sale, etc. In the future, that app could be used by the consumer as well. It doesn't have to just be for them. Okay. Let's look at another example of augmented reality. Okay, this example here is an augmented reality app that actually recognizes the pages in the magazine and can provide you more information. In this case, it recognizes this pair of shoes, and it can then show me how much they are for sale. And if I want to place an order, I can do that on the app. It can give me a little quiz. So maybe it wants to give me some type of quiz, or I can enter a contest for a free trip to Hawaii or something. So there's many different things that once augmented reality recognizes the pages in the magazine. It opens up a whole world of possibilities. And that technology uses something called layer. There's another one called Blipar, which I will show you an example of now. Let's see if we can take a quick look at this. So here we are in a grocery store. So in this case, let's say we're in a grocery store. We could pick up this bottle of Heinz ketchup, and the app recognizes it, and the app opens up a whole menu of all of the things that I can make with Heinz ketchup. So it can actually show me the recipe book and what other things I can make and things like that. So there's an example of how we can use augmented reality on any product to bring it to life and show you information about that product. Okay? Cottage pie. Never knew there was such a thing. All right. Now you know. Okay. So now we're back to our toolkit again, and we're now going to go to number 3, which is now looking at various innovation strategies that you can use. So the next question is, can mobility drive business model innovation? So let me show you an example of where some of these technologies not just show you a recipe book on a ketchup bottle, but introduce an entirely new business model for conducting business. And this is an example of a grocery chain in Korea called Home Plus. So Home Plus was trying to increase their market share in Korea, but the established competitors have many more stores than them. So they thought, well, what can we do to sell more groceries and take advantage of the fact that we don't have as many stores as the competitor? Let's watch a video of how they applied QR codes to introduce an entirely new business model.
South Korea is a unique market. Tesco has been evolving itself, adjusting to the local market. It even changed the name itself, from Tesco to Home Plus. And at last, it grew to rank number 2 in Korea. But Tesco had to overcome one obstacle, a fewer number of stores compared to the number 1 company, E-Mart. Mission: could we become number 1 without increasing the number of stores? We made an in-depth study into Koreans once more. Koreans are the second most hardworking people in the world. For them, grocery shopping once a week is a dreaded task. So we decided to approach these busy and tired people. Idea: let the store come to the people. We created virtual stores, hoping to blend into people's everyday lives. Our first try was subway stations. Although virtual, the displays were exactly the same as actual stores, from the display to the merchandise. Only one thing was different. We used smartphones to shop. Scan the QR code with your phone, and the product automatically lands in your online cart. When the online purchase is done, it will be delivered to your door right after you get home. People can relax more after work and on weekends.
실제로 보면서 사니까 진짜 좋은 것 같아요. 편하게.
Result: people can shop at Tesco Home Plus wherever they go without having to visit the actual store. Moreover, we could change their waiting time to shopping time. After this campaign, online sales increased tremendously. Through this campaign, 10,287 consumers visited the online Home Plus mall using smartphones. The number of new registered members rose by 76%, and online sales increased 130%. Currently, Home Plus has become number 1 in the online market, and is a very close second offline.
bad. Thank you. You know what I say about that? Los locos somos más. Yeah, see? Okay, if that one wasn't exciting enough for you, let me give you some more. Okay? Here's the rental car business. Are people here from Thrifty? Anyone here from Thrifty? Hertz? Oh, the Thrifty people are there? Hello, Thrifty. Thank you for sponsoring the event. I appreciate it. Okay. Can you guys thank Thrifty too? Okay. Now I'm going to mention a couple of other examples of other car rental companies. I hope that's okay. We want to learn from different examples, right? But for example, the business model of large rental car companies is that typically they have large parking lots. Many times it's at the airport. They have 300 cars there. You come in off the plane, you rent a car. You'll typically rent it for a whole week when you visit Panama or some other city. And they have a counter at the airport. They often have 3, 4, 5 people working there. You sign the contract. You know, there's always long lineups, you know, for getting your rental car. But Zipcar has introduced an entirely new business model. Instead of several hundred cars parked in a single location, they are spreading their cars out around the city. So they're putting 2 in a parking lot here near a shopping mall. They're putting 1 or 2 more over here by the train station, near the bus station. So they're placing them in different positions around the city. So that's one way that it's different than a traditional rental car company. The second thing that they're doing differently is that there's no rental car counter. Everything is done via the mobile app. So I can sign up for the service, and once again, with GPS capability, if I'm in downtown Panama City, I can say, where's the nearest Zipcar? And on the GPS map, it'll show me, oh, there's one 5 blocks over, and you can pick it up there. I can then use my smartphone to talk to the car, to rent it, and now it can give me access to the car. So once again, no rental counter needed. And once I have access to the car, the other difference in the business model of Zipcar is you don't have to rent it for a week or 3 days or 1 day. You can rent it for 3 hours or an hour or 20 minutes to go buy some milk and bread and park the car again, and you only get charged 20 minutes. So I don't think Thrifty does 20-minute rentals yet, but I'm sure in the future you're going to, right? So it introduces a whole new business model. And that's what we're trying to use the technology for, is introducing whole new business models. If that one's not interesting enough, let me take it another step further. There's a rental car company in California called getaround.com. This rental car company is so innovative, they don't own any cars. Imagine that, a rental car company that doesn't own cars. So what do? They are a service that lets people rent their own cars, and you can rent it via their app, so you can get everything from a Mini Cooper for $5 an hour to a Tesla Roadster sports car for $50 an hour. You just want to take a quick trip up the coast in Los Angeles? No problem, $50, it's yours. Getaround.com doesn't need to own parking lots because they don't have any cars. They're just renting you somebody else's car, and when that person rents you that Tesla Roadster for 2 hours at $100, Getaround.com maybe makes $20 or $30 from that transaction. Okay? So it's a whole new business model of conducting business. Here's another one that does, called RelayRides.com, that lets people rent each other's cars. There was one example here of a fellow named Neil who owns a BMW 5 car automobile, and because he rents it out a few times a month, his car's free. When he uses it the other 3 weeks of the year, he doesn't pay anything because the other people that are renting it from him pay for his entire monthly rental. Okay, so some interesting rental car examples there, and I'll show you some more when we talk about customer service levels as well that existing companies like Thrifty can use. Okay, on the customer service side, how can we drive service innovation? And this is an example here I love, one of the big airline in Canada called Air Canada. They have introduced a whole new level of service with alerts. Because one of the pain points in the airline industry is you get to the airport, you check in, and 20, 30% of the time, or 10%, whatever it is, what happens? Your flight's delayed by 5 hours, right? So what do you do for the next 5 hours? You sit at the airport, you drink bottled water, you read a magazine, and you waste 4.5 hours. What this alert does, which is tied to Air Canada's real-time travel system, is when that flight is delayed, the people on that flight get an instant notification to their smartphones saying flight has been delayed by 5 hours, don't come to the airport. And so imagine now where you're about to get in your car at home to drive to the airport and you get an alert that says flight delayed 5 hours. Wow, I'm glad they told me. And you go back home, watch TV, and relax until you have to go to the airport. So it raises the level of customer service. Even though it's delayed, at least I'm delayed at home, not delayed at the airport. Okay? Okay. That's probably a good time to pause. Do we have any questions? Because if not, I have a lot more examples. You want to see a few more examples?
Sure.
Let's see a few more examples. We're probably going to go for about another 15 or 20 minutes or so, and then we'll break for a coffee. Okay. So let's go to the last level of the toolkit, where I'm going to introduce you to some examples to accelerate your mobile marketing impact. So this part of it focuses very much on marketing, and we'll look at examples of how we can impact your marketing. What I did in this section that I hope you'll like is I created my famous top 10 lists. The top 10 things you can do with mobile devices for doing branding and pre-sales. The top 10 things you can do to close the sale and convince somebody to buy your product. The top 10 things you can do to actually sell things on a smartphone. And finally, the top 10 list of how to provide better customer support, like the Air Canada example that I just gave you. Once again, everyone in the room is going to have a different priority here, and some of you may only care about one of these layers. And that's okay, because then you can just focus on how you can apply that layer to provide better services at your hospital or at your retail store or whatever it might be. Okay, so let me introduce you to do that, and I'll do that visually with some phones. So the first strategy is what I call an inbound strategy, where it's basically you build your website or a mobile app where you show your products and the specifications and all that. But you can also do some interesting things that provides a real service to somebody. Does somebody really want to go to your app to look through your store at what you have for sale? There may not be a lot of people interested in that. But for example, REI, a ski equipment company, they created an app which provides ski and snow reports. So if you're a skier, you want to get that app because you're going to check it every day all winter to say, oh, is there any snow this weekend, to see if I go skiing. You're not looking at products from REI. They're just branding. They're showing you their brand. And maybe a year from now, when you need a new pair of skis, there's a little link on that app that says, hey, $50 off if you buy some skis from us. And then you can possibly do more business with REI, not because you've been looking through their store for a year, but because they're providing you ski and snow reports. Social media marketing, so we'll talk about a lot of examples like that. Niche marketing, so Harley Davidson has created 1,400 chapters around the world called HOG, where you can join with other riders for the weekend and go for motorcycle rides. Okay, and so that has been very powerful. One time about a year ago, they sent out a text message to all of the people in a particular area about a sale they were having for Harley motorcycles that weekend, and they had their best sales day ever on that day by being able to reach out to the community and tell people about it. Very powerful. We'll give you some examples about viral marketing. We'll give you some examples of something I call outbound marketing. The problem with an inbound marketing strategy is that it's waiting for people to come in to see you. One of the pieces of interesting research on people that download mobile apps is, guess what? They download the app, they use it once for three to 5 minutes, and then they never use it again. It's just hidden on their phone somewhere. They don't think to go back to use it, and that's the end of your relationship with that person. An outbound strategy takes a different approach that says, please give me your email address or your mobile phone number, or follow us on Twitter, and we will proactively send you something once a month, or once a year, or once a day, whatever it is the relationship is that you're building. But you have to have a value proposition. You have to address something. Why would they want to get that interruption to their cell phone from you? If you're just trying to sell them something every day, they're not interested. But if you send them something once a month, which is the weekend ski report or whatever it is, that they might be willing to accept. So that's the first 5. How can I leverage some social media to make a bigger impact? So here's one using RFID technologies tied into social media. And in this example, it's at the Coca-Cola Village Amusement Park. Let's take a look at this.
Bringing the virtual world of Facebook into the real world of the village. Every village guest received a wristband holding an RFID microchip that contained their Facebook username and password. On each village attraction, we attached an RFID microchip capable of collecting the user's data and sending it directly back to Facebook, creating a real-time sharing experience for the guests with their Facebook friends. The teenagers, full of excitement, used the wristband non-stop. In addition, the wristband was also used to auto-tag the teenagers in pictures that were uploaded to Facebook online. The experience moved from the world of Facebook into the real world and returned to the virtual world in full capacity. Like?
Okay. Thank you to the sheep. So that's a good example of integrating, using the technology, RFID, and integrating it with social media. Let's look at another example, because on these ones we can do things like mobile advertising, banner ads, but we can also do augmented reality. Let's take a look at what augmented reality might look like using some of these devices. So in this case, it's a virtual dressing room that you can bring home to your house to try on hundreds of products from that company. Okay. By the way, is that pretty good? Not only can you try the 100 products and see which one you like and place your order to buy it, but you know, if you're a 15-year-old girl like my daughter, you can't buy something before you do what?
Try it on.
No, not try it on. Actually, that in many of the cases. I'm thinking of something else though.
Get an opinion from somebody else.
Get an opinion from someone. Guess how you do that in this app? As soon as you found the one you like, you take a picture, you immediately post it to Facebook, and now your friends within 10 minutes can say like, not like, like, and within 10 minutes, you see how many of your friends like you in that outfit. Isn't that powerful? I learned the power of this once the hard way. This was 2 years ago. My daughter and I were driving home, and we're on the highway. Wouldn't you know it, I forgot to put gas in the car. We ran out of gas. Pull off to the side of the road. Come on, Samantha, we got to go get gas. What do you do? Well, we got to go to walk the gas station, buy one of those gas cans. Anyway, we're walking back to the gas station, and as we're walking back, she gets to Facebook and she says, "My dad's a loser. He just ran out of gas," and we're walking on the highway. By the time we got to the gas station, we had 17 likes. All right. Here's another interesting example from Access
AXA
Insurance.
is an insurance company who strongly believes in innovation. They were the first insurer in Belgium to launch an iPhone app for car insurance, and now they've also created one for your home insurance. Such an innovative idea deserves an equally innovative way to launch it. So we created an iCommercial. Here's how it works. The commercial shows a house. There's no door, just a QR code. Suddenly, there's a huge crash. The spot invites you to scan the code to find out what happened. Using your iPhone to unlock the house and step into the commercial.
And now that you can see what happens to your home, you better get home insurance from AXA. Okay, what else? Some more powerful examples of what you can do. Another one of the strategies, for now we're moving on to how you can close the sale and convince people to buy your product, getting to the point of saying, okay, I'm now ready to buy that product. I've seen the reviews, I've done whatever, I'm ready to buy it. The first strategy is called cause marketing. What that means is there's many companies that donate a lot of money and services and goods to people in need. So what companies are learning now is that if they can combine their cause marketing strategy with their mobile strategy and their social media strategy, they can let many more thousands of people know that they're giving money away so that you can like that company. So, why give money away if nobody knows you're donating, right? You gotta tell people, right? So what they can do in this example, JCPenney, that if you check into their stores via Foursquare, they'll donate $1 to the US troops. And that's good because when you check in, where does that information go? To your Facebook page or your Foursquare page, and now several hundred friends of yours know you're at JCPenney. It's branding, it's making them aware of it. And the more they donate to the causes that you care about, the more likely you will like that company and want to do more business with them. There's then community review marketing. Once again, before people make purchase decisions, quite often they go to community review sites to see what other people are saying about it. They also go to comparison shopping sites to see what the lowest price is. So you have to have strategy around how you're going to be successful in that environment. We'll talk more about that later. You can do limited time trials. You can integrate an online purchase with your physical stores with a clicks and bricks strategy where you combine the two. You can buy the product online, but then pick it up at the store. So it's a clicks and bricks strategy. And then the final one, a loyalty marketing strategy, which some companies are implementing. Let me give you a couple of other cause marketing examples. For example, Aeropostale and DoSomething.org did a cause marketing campaign where they were able to donate 1 million pair of blue jeans to homeless kids. And so that's a very powerful cause marketing approach to get people really feeling good about Aeropostale and that they're doing something to help homeless kids with free jeans. Another example, Kraft, that makes Kraft macaroni and cheese, has a mobile app called Dinner Not Art. And what they've said is every time you use one of the digital noodles, you can drop pictures with it and things like that, but every time you use one of the digital noodles on the app, they'll donate 10 noodles to Feeding America. They have donated millions and millions of free noodles to people in need. And it's all done because people are using their app and relating to their brand. So cause marketing can be powerful. Let's move on to the next 6. We'll just finish these last 5 before we move on, or 6 examples. So the first one is RFID, where we can do hyper-local marketing. So if I'm at a shopping mall, what hyper-local marketing is as I'm walking down the shopping mall, We can put something called geofences around certain stores, and when I'm within 300 feet of a Gap store, I could get a coupon. Oh, I see you're in the shopping mall. Why don't you stop in and see us? Okay, so it's a hyper-local marketing. They don't want to send me that message when I'm at work at the office. It doesn't do me any good. But if I'm in the shopping mall, that's a pretty good chance that maybe I will. And once again, it's all opt-in. I only get that message if I have agreed to get that type of message. We can then do check-in social media marketing. So this is where people love to check into places. And the more people that check in, you could have rewards. So if you check in the most to my Starbucks today, we'll give you a free coffee. Some people go back 10 times to get that free coffee, right? But it doesn't have to be a free good like a free coffee. In the case of Foursquare, if you visit that store the most, you become the mayor. It doesn't cost them anything to make you the mayor. You become the mayor. And then people get really proud that they're the mayor of Starbucks that day. Okay? But once again, what happens every time you check in is all of your social media contacts see the brand, see the Starbucks brand or whatever it is. So it's a lot of branding that can happen. Gamification marketing. There's two forms of gamification marketing. One is creating a game app. So Red Bull has created a game app. You can drive racing cars around a course, and there's Red Bull cans all over the place. And if you crash, the Red Bull cans go flying and stuff like that. It's all branding. And you're playing for several hours, some kids, with that game where you see the Red Bull brand. That's one approach, but another approach is just adding a gamification element where you're just measuring something and giving away points. And then people can see how many points they have. We had this teacher in grade 3, and every time we did something good, she'd give us points. You were quiet, you get 10 points. We would do everything we could to get more points. We never did figure out what those points were for. It didn't matter, but we got a lot of points. And it's the same with adults and teenagers. For some reason, we want to get points and we want to get to the top of the list. Budweiser beer has this thing. It's not points, but they give you virtual beer caps. Every time you do something, you go to their website or you check in somewhere or whatever you do, we're going to give you virtual beer caps. And if you get the most beer caps of anyone, guess what you get? You actually get something. You get to name the next batch of Bud beer. It's going to be the Tom Vassos batch of Bud beer. And they're going to put it on their website, and they're going to do, wow, I'm going to be famous. Okay? So it doesn't have to be giving something away for free. It could be making you the mayor or naming a batch of beer or whatever it is that gives me an incentive to participate and to try to get to the top of the list. That's what gamification marketing is all about. We then have augmented merchandising, and we'll wrap up with these examples before our break. Let's take a look at what... so this next example, let's say I'm in a store, and I pick up a box of Lego. You know, the Lego sets, you can make things. Now the packaging's pretty good because they have nice pictures and things like that, but is the picture on the box really going to convince me that I should buy that particular Lego model versus going somewhere else and buying a different kind of model from a different brand? So what they've done is put QR codes on the box, so now instead of just seeing the picture, you can watch a video. So this Lego box I'm picking up in the store might have this video attached to it.
News from Lego Star Wars. The rebels need to destroy the Death Star. You can build Luke Skywalker's X-Wing Starfighter. Prepare the torpedoes. Load Luke and R2-D2. And blast off to join the rebels in battle. Will Luke defeat the Galactic Empire? The new TIE Fighter and X-Wing Starfighter. Part of the new Lego Star Wars collection. Each set sold separately.
So that might be more powerful than just seeing the picture on a box. But Lego actually went one step further. What Lego did was they actually built these augmented reality kiosks, which they put in the stores. And you can see the augmented reality kiosk here. There it is right there. And it's where all of the boxes of Lego sets are. And what this augmented reality kiosk does is it lets you hold up the box to the kiosk, and watch what happens once it zooms in a little closer here. It's going to show me a 3D virtual reality image of what's inside that box. So once again, if I'm an 8-year-old child and I see that, I might be more inclined, wow, that looks like a lot of fun, to want to ask my parents to buy that particular product. So augmented merchandising can help sell products, in this example, right in the store. Okay, so that's probably a logical place to break. Any questions before we take our coffee break? Okay, so what I've covered there is I've started basically with an overview of several examples across many different areas, and hopefully that just opens your mind that, wow, there's a lot of possibilities here of what we can do with these mobile technologies to influence our mobile marketing strategy. Thanks very much. How about a big hand for our speaker this morning?